All right, we need to chat. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for being here. I feel like I owe you guys a much overdue chat about my pregnancy and kind of where we're at, and I want to share all of the ups, all of the downs, which there have been many storms thrown our way in this journey, but I want to just be open with y'all in the hopes of potentially helping someone else feel as though they're not alone in going through something like this, and to also just kind of show where I'm at right now. I feel like it's really easy to show up on YouTube and be like, I have everything figured out, kind of waiting until everything is like perfectly wrapped in a bow, and this is not where we're at right now. I want to show up for you guys where I am, like where my feet are currently planted. I want to show up for you guys and kind of bring you guys into a little part or a huge part of my life that has been going on for the past couple of months. So get your snack, get on a treadmill. I know a lot of y'all watch while doing treadmill runs, so I appreciate you guys watching, but this is not going to be like a fancy video by any means. It's just going to be a real and raw explanation as to where we're at and kind of the past couple of months and how my pregnancy journey has been going. So let's get into it. So to start off, I feel like the most important thing to mention is that I found out that I was pregnant just a few weeks after Zion 100. So the doctor actually says that I was technically pregnant while running 100 miles, which is insanity, but we kind of think that conception happened actually just right after. So that's kind of where the journey starts, which is kind of crazy, just coming off of the 100-mile prep and then immediately jumping into something like this. And to give you guys a little bit of history, I went through 16 months of chemo, and while going through my cancer journey, I was told that we would need to have extensive IVF in order to get pregnant. I was actually not told. This is kind of a little issue that we dealt with, actually a huge issue that we dealt with while I was going through my chemo. We had an oopsie moment from my oncologist. He mistakenly did not tell me that it is protocol for them, for people of age, to be able to freeze their eggs before starting chemo. So he didn't tell us, I guess, that it would impact fertility until we had already started chemo. And by that time he said, sorry, we didn't tell you. And basically the excuse was, we don't really see that many people your age, which I feel like I dealt with so much in going through my cancer journey, was just kind of being, I guess, just not treated correctly because of my age. I feel like a lot of patients, or just generally a lot of patients in cancer centers, are older because you're generally more likely to get cancer at an older age. But those who are diagnosed at a younger age, I feel like should be given the best care that they can be regardless of the age. And one of those things is reproductive health, and to be making sure that that is also a priority for those who are interested in having children. So kind of a big oopsie moment from my oncology team. And obviously we went through a huge storm in having to mourn that and realizing that basically any damage that had already been done was already done because I had already started my chemo. So that was actually the start of our fertility journey. We went and saw several different reproductive health specialists that were related to oncology and also those outside of oncology, but we really honestly started to dive deep into reproductive health after finding that out. For one, I wanted to do everything naturally that I could to help myself along my journey of getting my menstrual cycle back in like a regular place, but also doing anything that I could do to allow myself to potentially be able to do IVF at some point. But we were basically 100% certain that IVF would be our only choice in order to have children, and extensive IVF. Like, we were told essentially that maybe even IVF wouldn't be an option for us. So when I found out that we had gotten pregnant naturally, I was literally absolutely floored. When I tell you that I had no idea that this was even possible, I mean it. And like, just to give you guys a background, we had taken 100 pregnancy tests in our marriage. Tyler and I have been married for 7.5 years, and we'd taken 100 pregnancy tests and all of them had been negative, and we didn't think anything of it. So when I tell you the story of how we found out we were pregnant, I think you're gonna laugh because it's definitely not in the ordinary. So I had actually had blood work done in order to just check up on my hormones. It's something that I've done regularly after chemo. I've worked with a couple different companies for blood work, but they're all not covered by insurance. It's just all self-pay. And I would encourage you, if you're someone who's looking into hormone health and wanting to take control of your own health, is going through a out-of-pocket blood work company. I personally think that it's worth every single dollar. It's around, I think, $250 to do a full blood panel with hormones, and then also just basic metabolic panel. And I just feel like in order to take control of your health, you have to know what's going on the inside. And for me, blood work has been the best thing. So I was just getting my routine blood work done, and my numbers were like relatively normal other than my prolactin numbers and also my blood volume numbers. So blood volume was crazy high and my prolactin was crazy high. Prolactin was like, I want to say like 150 times what it should be. And I was shocked. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I did a quick Google search of what prolactin levels mean, high prolactin levels mean. And the first thing that pops up is a tumor. So initially my shock of like, oh my gosh, are we gonna have to go through all of this again? It's a tumor in the pineal gland, I believe, in the brain. So my brain immediately goes to, oh no, that could potentially be what it is. Most of the tumors found in this area are benign, but I was immediately like, okay, shoot. And then I go down the list and there's a couple other things, hypothyroidism, a few other like conditions, and then the last one is pregnancy. And I was like, well, that can't be the case. And so I just go about my day, like basically wondering what the heck is going on with my blood work. And then Tyler and I get on FaceTime. He was actually traveling in Chicago for the week for work, and I just on the phone with him at nighttime like we normally do when he's traveling, and I'm like, yeah, so I got my blood work done today, really weird, like everything came back to relatively normal except for my prolactin levels. And he goes, oh, what the heck's that? And then ends up doing a quick chat GPT, and he sees the same thing. He sees the brain tumor, he sees the other conditions, and he sees pregnancy. And he was like, well, why don't you just take a pregnancy test? And we've, like I said, we've taken 100 plus pregnancy tests over our marriage. So we ended up taking the pregnancy test on FaceTime, and I literally 0% chance thought that it was gonna say positive. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done it over FaceTime when my husband wasn't in town. But I ended up doing the pregnancy test, and the first one, we just did the ones with the lines. I flipped it over, and it was immediately 2 stark lines. But I immediately flipped it over and I was like, oh my gosh, it says positive. And I didn't even film it, nothing. I literally had honestly thought 0% chance that it was gonna say positive. So we initially went through this huge rush of like, oh my gosh. Like I initially felt like, what am I gonna do? Like we have no plans for this. This wasn't necessarily in the cards for us. We thought that we would have to do IVF, so we would have like months essentially to be able to plan for this mentally. But obviously I'm 31 years old, so like I'm a full adult. I have a wonderful husband. We're secure in our marriage, but also secure in our household. And just, I feel like we're at like the perfect place to be able to have children. It just wasn't in our plans. Like I was going to race at Leadville 100 in August. We just didn't have any plans for this. But after the rush of being like, oh my gosh, what is happening? We decided to actually go, or I actually decided to go get more pregnancy tests just to make sure, because we knew, you know, anything can happen. Sometimes there's false positives. So it's like 10 o'clock at night. I ended up driving to the grocery store with Tyler on FaceTime, and then got like 2 boxes of pregnancy tests. Came back, took 3 more, and they all said positive. And we got the clear blue ones that just say pregnant or not pregnant. So anyway, I ended up taking those. They all say positive. And then just the huge rush of like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening in such like a beautiful and positive way. I think the first day for me was definitely like a shock, and was like a lot of anxiety about like, what are we gonna do? I wasn't necessarily like mentally prepared for this. Like, I don't know if I'm like equipped to do this. And then the next day, I feel like I was just so excited. And for the next like week or so, we were just so freaking excited. And we ended up scheduling an ultrasound for the next couple of weeks. I ended up skipping my period in March, and then in April, I had spotting around my race date, but it wasn't like a normal period. So we were like honestly not initially sure if I was going to be like way further along than we anticipated, or if I was going to be kind of in the early stages of pregnancy. So we wanted to at least get in to the midwife to kind of check on how things were going. Before going into that ultrasound, we had HCG blood tests done, and they were very normal, kind of where we were at for like 4 to 5 weeks. And then we also had blood work done 2 days later, and we had those doubling numbers, which is what you want to see within that 48 to 72 hours post like previous blood work done. So HCG was looking really good. It was such an anxiety like time, I feel like inducing time before we went in for our first ultrasound. So if you're going through that, you're definitely not alone. Everyone feels that. It's like this feeling of like, I got this pregnancy test and now I have to wait this amount of time before I go see the baby on an ultrasound. What do I even do? Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? I feel like a lot of questions really came up in that. And I feel like in sharing online, I feel like a lot of people are in that zone. So I would encourage you in this waiting time to do HCG tests if you want to check on those to ensure that they're going up. The rule of thumb is 48, 72 hours. You want them to double, but that can be varied per person. There's a lot of people who have slower rising HCG that just rises slower along pregnancy, but then they end up having beautiful pregnancies. I would not encourage you to go in extra early for ultrasounds because I think that's what ended up happening with us. In our initial ultrasound, we didn't know where we were at. The midwife was, she kind of got that I'd been through so much cancer-wise that we weren't essentially sure where we were at. But when we did the ultrasound, we ended up doing transvaginal ultrasound, and we were measuring around 6 weeks 1 day, or 6 weeks 3 days in the gestational sac measurement. Now that's not super accurate, but it is a measurement that is utilized. We didn't see a baby, we didn't see a fetal pole, we didn't see a yolk sac. So in the initial appointment, my midwife essentially said, okay, I think we might just be early. Let's just have you come back in 10 days. So I think that initial appointment, I was really looking for a lot of relief. And instead of relief, I felt like I just got so much more anxiety. And I just want you to know, if you've gone through this, it's not uncommon. Like, if you go in too early, this is something that is common. But I think my midwife initially thought that we were further along. And so she gave us this idea of like, okay, yeah, let's just follow up 10 days later. So for the next 10 days, I'm like going in and out of like having a lot of anxiety and then just being like, okay, well, this is just kind of the journey. This is how things are gonna go. I had a ton of symptoms really early on in my pregnancy. I was so unbelievably tired. When I tell you the first trimester is rough, that is one of the biggest symptoms that I've noticed, is I've been extremely tired. Like, beyond anything that I could even explain to you, it feels as though I literally open my eyes in the morning and then I can't even keep them open for the rest of the day. I just feel so fatigued. Everything makes me extremely tired. Normal tasks throughout the day feel extremely exhausting, and I just feel like I'm running on like a battery. Like, if I am looking at my Whoop, I'm literally running on like 10% recovery all the time. I'm not actually on my Whoop, but that's just how it feels like. I just feel like all of the energy is being utilized to grow this baby and not being utilized to get me through like normal life things. I've continued training throughout my first trimester, but I will say my training in the morning is significantly more productive than my training in the afternoon. Because I've also had morning sickness, which is literally the biggest lie on planet Earth. Morning sickness does not just exist in the mornings. It exists all day, every day, and can be so extreme for people on given days. So for me, it's been basically every single day I've had it in the morning, but then also I've had it at 3 p.m. like clockwork, and it is aggressive at 3 p.m. So I've utilized ginger chews, I've utilized like the little like queasy drops, and then also I've learned that if I just continuously eat throughout the day, that's the only way to like sort of mitigate some of the nausea. I still get nausea, but it's way, way better if I just continuously eat, which I'm like, am I just putting myself into like this massive calorie surplus for no reason? But that's a later me problem. But anyway, so I've had extreme symptoms. And so for those 10 days between my first appointment to my follow-up ultrasound, I was just keeping track of my symptoms. And I had all of the normal symptoms that you would expect in pregnancy. And they intensified as the weeks went on. And when we got to our ultrasound on day 10, I was honestly just really excited. I was very, very optimistic going into that appointment. Tyler and I were just like so excited to be able to see baby and finally feel that relief that we were really hoping for in the first ultrasound. And the ultrasound came and we didn't see baby again. Our gestational sac actually measured slightly smaller than 10 days previous. We didn't see baby's heartbeat. We did see there's some growth in the yolk sac, but they were not able to identify baby in the gestational sac. So my midwife essentially spent the rest of the appointment prepping us for a miscarriage. There is a couple different diagnoses that can indicate what happened, either a blighted ovum or a missed miscarriage. And she essentially just said, like, you are going to miscarry. This is what it's going to look like. Do not go to the ER if you have bleeding. You are just going to have to go through this. And didn't really give us any other hope or any other indication. When I asked about, because I, of course, want to be optimistic and realize that medicine is not always right. Western medicine is not always right. I truly believe that God has a plan for each and every one of us, and sometimes those plans are unexplainable to human eyes and to human hearts. So instead of immediately believing where she was at, I just started asking questions, and I asked her, I said, what if we see HCG rising continuously? What if we still have symptoms? What if what if I'm still growing? And she said, well, your body is going to continue to go through rising symptoms, rising numbers of HCG until your body realizes that there's no longer a baby, that it's growing, and then it will miscarry. So all of those like positive symptoms that I feel like I would feel post this appointment were essentially struck down in her saying, well, you will end up miscarrying, your body will figure it out, and you will end up miscarrying. She then provided us with artificial options to end the pregnancy. And this is where I feel like in my reflection, I get a little bit angry. This is not saying that this is not the right thing for you or the right thing for other people, but I just felt like because we saw growth in the gestational sac, we saw the yolk sac that we didn't see in the previous appointment. Yes, we didn't see the fetal pull, or we weren't able to identify the heartbeat, but I feel like we still had growth and our HCG was still going up and there was still potential for positive outcomes. And she was providing us with a DNC option and a like pill, basically an abortion pill. And I feel like I got really angry about that, because for me, I just like really wanted the opportunity to make sure that I knew certainly before making those options available. Like I just didn't want that to be the thing that she immediately jumps to, instead of being like, okay, let's just have a little bit of patience and see if we're just really early. Because my periods have never been normal after chemo, and we did see some growth. So I'm like, I just don't understand why that was immediately jumped to. And in sharing on Instagram, I have heard lots of stories of people who are also like kind of urged to do this artificial ending of a pregnancy, and then they went in before their DNC and then there was a baby there, like a perfectly healthy baby. And every baby grows at different times and in different timelines, and I just feel like I just wish I would have been provided with a little bit of patience from the midwife, because that's what I was hoping for. So I told her, I said, I am not going to do that. That's not an option that I'm willing to take. I'm just going to have a little bit of patience, and I'll see if I end up miscarrying the way that you had described. So she said to come back in the next couple of weeks. We had a wedding to go to. We had a lot of things kind of in between. So my follow-up ultrasound is actually tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and it'll be about 3.5 weeks from our previous ultrasound. I have not miscarried within this time frame. I have not shown signs of miscarriage. I've had way worse nausea, way worse symptoms. So I don't really know what to think of all this. I end up getting like really optimistic when I'm like, oh, I have like this crazy nausea. I feel like I'm in the peak of nausea right now. I'm in the peak of tiredness, and my symptoms have all continued to rise. My bump literally looks significantly bigger than it did 3.5 weeks ago. And I feel like every time I get optimistic, I'm just reminded of what the midwife said, and it's really hard for me to celebrate these little milestones. And it's really hard for me to be like excited about the potential to see baby tomorrow, if I'm honest, because I feel like she's already struck down any potential hope that I had. And in going through all this, my heart goes out to anyone who's experienced loss. I never like realized what this could feel like. So all the mamas who have experienced loss and who have babies in heaven, I just wanted to tell you that like my heart hurts for you, and like I understand now more than I've ever understood how that could feel. And yeah, I feel like you don't understand what pregnancy is like until you go through it. You don't understand what loss could be like unless you've gone through it. And my eyes have been opened to the female experience, like to the full female experience while going through this. And my heart hurts for you if you've experienced something like that. But I will say, in going through all of this, I have just been reminded so much that we can try to white knuckle life. We can try to like really hold on to all the things and control all the things that we need to control, schedule more ultrasounds, go to more HCG tests. But God's got a plan for us, and sometimes we just don't understand what the plan is. And the faster that we can get to be able to surrender, the faster we can have freedom. I think we think sometimes that control is freedom, but I think control is the absence of freedom, because we can understand that God is the creator of all. He has the plan, and that in order to actually achieve freedom, we have to surrender where we're at. We have to surrender our experiences and surrender this control that we think that we're creating, that we're just not really creating at all. We're having the absence of freedom in not surrendering. So at this time, I've just been really surrendering this experience to God. Yes, I've felt so sad some days, like so sad to where like I can't even get out of bed. But then also some days I've been so joyous. And in running the 50K that I won while pregnant, I was so joyous in knowing that like we can do this. Like my body can do this. Me and this baby can get through whatever we need to get through. And there's so much strength in pregnancy, and there's so much strength in creating life, and that's so beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I get to experience this. Like at the end of the day. Sorry. Like at the end of the day, I am unbelievably grateful that we now know that I can get pregnant. Like what a beautiful gift to be able to know that. So whether it's this baby or another baby, like I will be able to be a mom. And I just love that. I think that's so beautiful. And sorry. And beyond being able to be a mom, I feel like I can actually empathize with women who've gone through this experience, and I can share my story in hopes of helping someone else feel a little bit less alone, and I can help maybe encourage you to give up whatever storm you're going through to God, and to just understand that we don't know what's happening. Like in reality, we don't know. So instead of trying to like figure out everything and put all the P's and Q's together and sit on ChatGPT for hours at a time and scroll down this like rabbit hole of information, the information isn't necessarily always going to help us. And if I can encourage you to maybe release some of that anxiety and release some of those burdens and give it to God, then I think that is enough of a learning experience through all of this to be able to help to encourage others. So you guys know that I believe that everything that happens is God's plan. And whether it's good, whether it feels really painful and horrible at times, He uses everything for good. And I know it feels really hard right now, and this storm feels like it's thrashing me left and right. I know that there will be peace and calm after all of this. And even in this storm, there's peace and calm in knowing that I am not the creator of my own destiny, and I'm not the creator of life. I just get to be able to hold life in my belly for a little bit. So we are still doing TMB, Tour de Mont Blanc. I am less than 2 weeks out from that. I will continue to be training, and the next couple videos will be related to that. But I wanted to fill you guys in on this whole experience, and I want to continue to share it with y'all no matter what the outcome is. So if I end up talking about this, it'll be in the title, so those who may not want to watch this type of content can go ahead and skip it. Or if it's something that's triggering to you, you know ahead of time, versus me like posting a day in the life and then talking about miscarriage in the middle of it. I won't be doing that. If that ends up happening or being something that I want to talk about on here, it'll be in the title. So just keep an eye out for that. But I feel like it took me a really long time to film this video, honestly, because my heart wasn't ready. And I had the idea to film this video a couple weeks ago. We had a plan to have this posted by Monday this week, and my heart has just not been here to be able to talk about it. It's just been really difficult. And this morning I read Romans 8:28 and was just reminded that he has my purpose in his heart. Like, God knows my purpose and uses all things in this life for good. And that's just what I'm reminded of each and every single day, of like, I have a purpose here on this earth, and it might be really difficult to sometimes live in that purpose. It might be really difficult to share sometimes, but I know that sharing is part of my purpose. I know that sharing all of the storms and all of the glory and all of the wonderful things that happened, it's all part of my purpose here on this earth. I know that sharing my cancer journey has helped so many people. I know that sharing my post-cancer victories has helped so many people. And I know that this will help someone, even though it's really painful for me to share. So I hope y'all are okay with me being vulnerable and sharing this journey with you and just being raw. And I just appreciate you guys so much. For those who've prayed for me and baby and my husband at this time, I just want to say I'm so insanely grateful for you. I have been overwhelmed with the amount of people who've been praying for us. So I just appreciate you so much. I don't know if you understand how much that means to me, but I just appreciate you guys so much. And my heart goes out to anyone who's experienced anything like this, or who will go through this. And I just want you to know that you're so loved and so worthy of being a mother, and it's not your fault. Like, at the end of the day, it is not your fault. Sometimes this is just, sometimes bad things are used for our protection and maybe the baby's protection. So I just want you to know that you're worthy, and this is not your fault. But I love you guys so stinking much. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you have something to share in the comments, maybe go ahead and start some community chats down there to help others feel a little bit less alone. But I'm choosing faith and patience at this time. And my hope is that tomorrow we just see this beautiful baby on the ultrasound that just needed a little bit more time to grow, and is just an absolute miracle among all of this. So I know it happens. I know miracles are real. We're just praying for our little miracle. So I love you guys so much. Until next time, stay unbreakable.